Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So we are doing the second episode of Open FinTech Forum. हमने पहला सेशन एक किया था overall FinTech पे, and now we are doing it for specifically for RegTech side. So Open is a premium group of overseas Pakistanis, exclusive at leadership roles. It facilitates knowledge sharing, community building, and networking where people come together and make a difference. So the aim is to enable an environment for collaboration, growth, and innovation with all the executives who are working abroad or in Pakistan. I think we should start with the introduction. I will do it myself since I'm holding the candle. My name is Meharyab Niazi. I'm working in payment industry from last 15 years, 13 in the UAE and Middle East region. Today, I'm representing a company called PPS. It's a payment processor in UK and Europe, and I represent them for Middle East and Africa region. If you can please start with your introduction, I will give it to Ather to do it.
Thank you, Meharyab. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Hello. My name is Ather Rizvi. I'm associated with an organization called Idenfo. Primarily what we do, in addition to a lot of things, is identity and identity management solutions. I look after the Middle East region in terms of business, and it's great to have all the industry experts around me in this forum. Over to Rashid.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hassan. So, hello everyone. So, my name is Mohammed Rashid. You can call me Rashid. So, I've been associated with the financial service industry from last 15 years. So, I worked in operations, transformation, compliance, and now I'm working for our digital payments company, Jingle as Chief Compliance Officer, as well as I'm working for PwC Middle East as consultant for FinTech space. So that's my introduction.
Over to you, Hassan, please.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hassan Abbas here. I've been into banking industry for the last 23 years, and I think over the last 23 years, the main dominant bank has been Citi, with which I've worked for 19 years. Other than that, I've had small instincts with Credit Suisse, with American Express Bank and Habib Bank in Pakistan. So currently, I'm heading this company, Idenfo, which is basically headquartered in UK, and we have our offices in UAE, Pakistan, Singapore, Malaysia are the markets that we are now getting into as well. And we are providing holistic compliance solutions, which includes our own proprietary software, as well as advisory, consultancy, and managed services solutions for clients.
Excellent, Hassan. So today on RegTech, it's a very interesting topic for me, especially. So I'm related to FinTech since 13, 14 years now. But on the business side, we want to deliver. We want to make life easy of consumers or companies. But the regulation side always blocks us on many hurdles. So we have to. The way I see the challenges we have in the FinTech segment for RegTech is one is digital onboarding. How we can do that? Is it really good enough as of today that we can rely that okay, we have onboarded this guy and he can do financial transactions? Then transaction monitoring is the second point, that how to monitor transaction, what is the behavior of it, how we can control it. Third is the cross-border remittances, cross-border payments. Fourth is what will be the future of RegTech side of FinTech if you involve like AI or blockchain. And since Ather, you are doing something with identity, I think on IDEMIA, if you can please start with that, what you guys are doing and how you are helping FinTech to collaborate with RegTech.
Yeah, gladly. Thank you very much, Meharyab. It's very funny and interesting that we come at the top. we when it comes
you start
to
with yes
to start with we are the door openers. We are the when I say we are, I represent the entire industry, whomsoever is part of the digital onboarding, digital identity and identity management. So I was talking to someone a while ago, and I was explaining that what I do and what this entire uh, you know the debate of digital onboarding is all about. Uh, so let me just start with a very basic example. You sign up to Google or you sign up to hotmail.com. The first thing any portal would ask you is to register yourself, which in a way is onboarding. So they ask for your name, your date of birth, your place of residence. Now they are sending you OTPs just to verify that the person is real and not a bot. So in digital onboarding, what we offer as Idemia, and I'm not trying to represent my company here. It's not a commercial forum. What we offer is assisted plus self onboarding solutions. And now in Meharyab, since you are in PPS, you're powering like different wallets. UK के अंदर आपके पास 2-3 wallets हैं. Globally आपके पास ठीक ठाक बड़ा portfolio है. So you know where I'm coming from. So in digital world, self, like a customer who's onboarding himself versus assisted, both are going hand in hand. I'm downloading an app. I'm onboarding myself. I'm doing everything from my passport scan to my identity OCR to take my selfie, making sure that I'm live, because now algorithms are checking your liveness. So everything bundles up, becomes the self package for onboarding, and then I'm on that app. Same is the case with assisted onboarding, where you are going to camps, you're going to the person's office or their house. For example, let me give you a live example of a telecommunication solution provider here, like a mobile operator. I'm probably not allowed to take the names. So they are sending SIM cards to your home. You have received it. I have received it, right? And they're carrying some gadgets, and they're carrying some different sort of equipment to ensure that your card and your biometric are validated
No, I
in
mean,
real time.
now even you have the retina scan on the airports and all that,
Correct.
which gives you entry to a country as well. But
Correct.
with your facial recognition and all that, we're still not there to open a bank account, which is a very basic need. So how much, what's the barrier into that?
So how we are addressing this barrier, Mariab, is we are taking a selfie, a live selfie, and we are comparing that selfie with your ID card picture.
Okay.
So we all are in UAE, so we have our Emirates ID. So what we do is our system, or any system for that matter, it's very common these days to capture the ID card, crop that picture, and whatever I'm saying, it happens like in real time basis, and matches it with your ID, and then it creates a score. So
Okay.
we all we do is we send that score to the backend system. So if you are a bank and I am going to empower your customer, I'm going to send that score to you, and then your compliance, like your friends like Rashid, will take it up from there, see that score, and then make a decision. And the decision making power lies with our friends like Abbas, like Hassan Abbas, and their system will crunch everything and make sure that Ather Rizvi is Ather Rizvi, and he has no bad track in his system, and he's like AML is cleared and everything is
Hassan,
cleared.
since Ather is pointing towards you, how do you see it with the digital onboarding? That how
I think
reliable it is and how
I think
you incorporate it?
first and foremost, I would definitely ask for some points for patience, because this topic is very close to me. While Asar was discussing this, I was jumping up and down to crack in with the input that we have. Edemia is a very big name. Edemia has done a wonderful job, and I think a lot of banks in the industry have utilized their services. Idenfo, on the other hand, we are a new startup, and we have precisely worked on these parameters as Athar was discussing just now, all of these features that the OCR data capturing and the liveliness check and all of these things. So this is precisely what our proprietary platform is, just taking it a step further adding the compliance bit to it. See, there are a lot of lists. There are some UN sanction lists. There are some other global watch lists. There are some PEP list, which is politically exposed people. There are some negative media lists. So our system, in addition to taking the whole identity of the client on the system, what we do is that we do all these checks as we are filling up the form. So let's say you just put in your Emirates ID number of a Pakistani is your NICOP number, and the data would be captured from backend. You don't need to do anything. OCR would capture everything. Then there's going to be a 10-second video, like I'm speaking to you right now. Out of that video, it will be taken, a selfie would be taken, which would be compared with your Emirates ID picture or with your national ID card picture. And as Ather rightly mentioned, there's going to be a score. That this match is 35%, 45%, 55%. And that depends on the criteria which the bank or the financial institution wants to set up, that our minimum threshold is 35% or something like that. So that is as the customer is going through all of these processes at the back end, since he has inputted his Emirates ID number or his national ID card number, he is getting cross-checked against the multiple compliance list to see whether there is a positive hit or not. If the guy appears in any of the negative links or anything, so at the end of the process, the customer would be told that sorry, we cannot proceed. If it's a clear case where there is no match, no name match, then we will move on head forward with that. And again, another interesting thing which
Hassan,
sorry, Meharyab,
sorry to interrupt you. I'm just trying to connect the journey. So the journey is that you do a digital onboarding where you have your first name, last name, and you put your ID card, whether it's Nadra or it's Emirates ID or any ID card, Aadhaar card. And then this data comes to a pipe or a system which has to do these checks of anti-money laundering or PEP and all these checks.
So to start with your Emirates ID and your NICOP, your information is picked up. You don't have to say that my name is Ather or Hassan Abbas or whatever. Everything gets picked up from the Emirates ID or NICOP that you've put in over there. Your address, your date of birth, your gender, all of these fields are automatically populated to start with. And while they are getting populated, at the same time on the back end, the system is checking against multiple lists that you want to get checked against. Because see, these are globally accepted lists, and these are the measures which generally banks take to safeguard themselves against any anti-money laundering activity. So this is the fun part is that it's straight through processing. It's not that you input your name and your details and all, and the way it's done traditionally in banks right now, at the back end is a sanction list check that somebody would be having a look at the World United Nations list or negative list or negative media. Everything as you are inputting or as you're going through the system is getting checked at the back end. Then there are certain questions like if you've been through the onboarding process of a bank, banks try to assess what is your risk rating. Are you a low risk client, medium risk client, or a high risk client? So at this as you move on our platform, you will be asked certain questions that which geographies do you want to deal with, which is the primary location that you're working from, what kind of products do you want to deal with, you want to do a lot of remittances, you want to do a lot of LCs, whatever your transaction behavior is. And on the basis of that, your risk rating is done. I think compliance professionals would resonate with that right now the FATF regime is such that everything has to be on a risk-based approach. If it's a low-risk customer, you treat him differently. If it's a medium-risk customer, there's a separate treatment required. And for a high-risk customer, there has to be annual due diligence and all. So fintechs like us, like Idenfo, we are developing processes which incorporate the learnings that we have from companies like Idemia and taking it to the next level, adding on the banking platform requirements as well, which are the compliance, risk rating, liveliness check, negative list check, all of those things. So combining them and then offering a platform where the customer can get onboarded. Absolutely. So again, as I said, we're marketing the company, but today you might have seen in Business Recorder and Dawn and everywhere that we have signed up with NCCPL, that is the clearinghouse in Pakistan for digital onboarding, like this Khushhal Pakistan or the new account that we are opening for digital non-resident Pakistanis from all over the world. Yeah. It's a fantastic effort by the government of Pakistan. Now we are supplementing that and we are offering a platform for people to start investing in the stock market as well. So through your brokers or directly yourself. You can go on system, you can have your brokerage account opened as well. And in the brokerage account, we are trying to cover all of these elements which I just spoke about, the due diligences, the checks, the lists and all, verification of individual, all of these things, we are getting it done. So that I think way forward should definitely be only digital onboarding. Those paper filling exercises, they were cumbersome, they were tiring. I think time for that is gone. And when it comes to a customer onboarding, it has to be a digital process where the customer has to do minimal input. The customer should only be giving his transactional profile, that what kind of expectations he has from bank, what kind of usage he will have with the bank. And more than that, his basic information, कि जी कहाँ रहते हैं, date of birth क्या है, all of these things are, linked with your ID, and we should be able to capture them anyways.
Okay. Rashid, I will ask you a very different question on this. Thank you, Hassan, for this overview of that. We will talk about cross-border in our third segment, but just to ask you that why, an open question to all of you, why telcos were able to do the digital inclusion of people. If you look at overall around the globe, telcos are everywhere. Everybody has SIM card. Everybody has mobile phones. If you look at Africa, they are too much into digital wallets which are connected to these telcos, whereas the bank accounts or these financial services didn't reach there. So why we have so many speed breakers when we talk about the financial services coming through the banking side of the ecosystem, not from the telco side? So what's the difference if I'm getting a SIM card and I'm being verified and all that, and some are offering wallets or loading as well? So what's the barrier into that?
Well, Meharyab, that's an interesting question, definitely, because when we talk about financial inclusion, usually we start talking about the outreach of banking. So I think this understanding is inaccurate. The reason is, so let me give you an example of State Bank of Pakistan. So when State Bank of Pakistan started working on financial inclusion, they started from branchless banking. Again, it is banking. So banking is not the need for everyone. It's not required exactly for everyone. There are white collar customers. There are underprivileged customers. I remember when I used to work for Khushali Microfinance Bank, the customers we had, they did not need bank account. They only need loan. So the problem starts when we start talking about financial inclusion and we always think about expansion of banking services. So that's a problem. The expansion of financial services and the success of financial inclusion in Africa, let's say, or developing countries is telco, as you mentioned. They are not offering banking services. They are offering financial services. So telco, if a telco offer you a wallet that is a virtual account on your mobile SIM without visiting a location, without visiting a bank account, bank branch, and you do not need to maintain account balance, let's say, then this is the right product for less privilege or those where financial services has not reached yet. So and this is very, very interesting, because when we talk about, let's say, financial services or digital payments, since you mentioned the term digital payments, if you see the size of digital payments now, in 2020, the size of global digital payments by the end of December is $80 billion. And by 2025, imagine it will double, and the expectation is $152 billion. I'm talking about digital payments, not the overall payment space. So see, 100% double growth in just 5 years' time. Why? Because if the need is as a blue collar, let's suppose, they don't need a bank account. They need just a kind of account that help them to transfer funds, a small payment account, a wallet.
Yeah, but why not a bank account as well? I mean, so I don't see a caller, but I see that everybody deserves to have all the services available at the market.
I 100% agree. Sorry, I'm interjecting a bit as well, but I would fully second what Rashid is sharing. See, the interesting and important point, if you look at the market in Pakistan, is that once they standardize it across the industry, that every bank needs to have the thumb impression or the fingerprinting done, it started happening. So it's the regulatory mindset, it's the regulatory enforcement action which makes it happen. On the telecom side, there was a clear-cut mandate by the regulatory authorities. There was no second option given to the people. In banking sector, if we keep on giving this secondary option to the people that you don't need to do biometric verification, everybody would prefer that. But if we make it a standard, the way we have done in Pakistan, considering the kind of difficult issues that we have seen from FATF reviews and all. So once it's standardized, now there's no other option. You want to be as you rightly said, blue collar, white collar, gray collar, doesn't make a difference. If you want to be a banking customer, you have to be digitally
Yes.
give your imprint. Yeah.
And one more point I would like to add here, because see, if you talk about bank account has its cost. It's a costly business, like it's an expensive business. So you need to create a huge infrastructure just to offer a very simple bank account. So why we need? That's why digital banks are so much growing. They don't need to offer huge infrastructure, because anyways, if banks and the typical mindset of because you guys so much discuss about this digital KYC, electronic KYC. There's so much discussion happening about electronic KYC, digital KYC, everything. So and what exactly the discussion is? The discussion is how can we do it? So the question is it this a technical problem to implement digital KYC onboarding or something else? So my understanding is technology is not a big problem now. Like we have two colleagues who are offering different solutions. There are so many solutions available in the market. Some are really good, some are relatively less good. But the problem is not a technical side. The second barrier is if you offer expensive services like a huge bank, there is no need to establish offer a bank an account through a bank. Now money, they are offering a very simple account now through using a banking platform. There are so many other solutions. I think barrier is offer a cheap solution, easy solution.
Just to add it up, Rashid. So I didn't mention it in my background. So I'm part of Edenred as well, which has a product called C3 Payroll Card. I think we were the pioneer in the market to start for low wages income salaried segment to start offering banking services. It's a whole experience. I mean, we used to load ATM machines on the truck to take them to the labor camps. I personally was standing on a truck with a loudspeaker and explaining, यहाँ से पैसे निकलेंगे and यहाँ से receipt निकलेगी, card यहाँ से निकालना, and you have to take it out in 30 seconds. So those were the days when we started showing them, and then it was exactly the same. You do a payroll of a 40,000 employees company, you add up like 60 billion on 25th, 26th, the whole account is empty because they will withdraw, they will go to the next ATM, next exchange house, and they will remit. But overall, this was 2008. So over all these years and all that, now we see them, they do cross-border bill payments. They don't want to send all together all of their money to their wife, and then they will get to know, oh, I didn't pay the bill because I had to do this or that. So they will pay the bill, they will do all of this, and then the pocket money and the expense, they will send it separately. Post transactions started picking it up. Yes. So we see the trend. Once you involve them in terms of financial inclusion, you see them that they start learning the banking services and to take benefits of that. That comes to the next point of this transaction monitoring. That's more interesting for me before the digital onboarding side. I'm sure that Hassan and Ather are giving a very solid solution, and we know this person is okay. But I have seen so many places, so many sites that, like I'm resident of UAE. I'm legal here. I have an Emirates ID. I have everything as it is. But all of a sudden, I send money to somebody in Morocco of 40 dirhams for 10 times. I don't know. So, my bank says that you cannot transfer more than 10,000 dirhams. That's your limit for a day. And I do it at 11:59, one transaction of 10,000, and 12:01, the second transaction. So this side is There is a whole operation teams I have seen in the banks. Fintechs, I don't know how much they are monitoring into it, these trends and all that. But is there a real solution available which can become a parasite on the whole transaction platform and who can monitor and stop and block it?
देखिए आपने जो example दी ना, that is very interesting. Doing 4 transactions to Morocco, all of a sudden that you decided to do that. The way it works for banks, and I'm sure we are all pretty much we have experienced that ourselves as well, that when you start opening a bank account, there are certain set of questions that the bank asks you, that what kind of products would you be requiring? Would you be making any remittances? Would you be getting any demand draft run? How many credits will happen in a bank account? How many debits will happen in a bank account? So typically speaking, let's say if my salary is 100 and I'm a retail client and I'm getting a credit of 100 every month and I'm spending 85 out of that, saving 15, no bank would come back to us, to me. The day there's a transaction happening for $500, naturally, a bank has to come back and ask that what is this exceptional transaction? What have you done that we need to know and for which you had not updated us in the past? So that is the way a typical banking platform or a compliance or a AML network works. Remittance, if it's a product that at the time of onboarding you did not tick mark that you would be requiring, and as you said that all of a sudden you did 4 transactions to Morocco, that should be a red alert for the bank. Now, again, sorry to quote you, Meharyab, you said that you're a business guy, and a lot of times there's a blockage on the compliance. Is not a blockage. Compliance is the cost of doing business. Again, Rashid was quoting a lot of numbers. $160 billion is roughly speaking the number that I can recall, which was fined to financial institutions from 2008 to 2018. And recently, whenever FATF, our regulatory authority globally, they visit a market, any market, one of their patent standard question is that what kind of enforcement actions have the regulators taken? Now, just imagine if a company like, again, maybe I should not be naming, a big bank was charged 10 million on a small data governance kind of an issue. If any such kind of a cost or a fine is imposed on a fintech, on a startup, so the basic model goes for a toss. So I'm just quoting one of the CEOs that I've worked with. He used to say that when you're running a fast car, you need good brakes. That is the prime requirement. The engine has to be there. All the other gadgets has to be there, but your brakes have to be really solid to make sure that where do you have to stop, when do you have to stop, and also compliance from the construct perspective. I have myself been a product manager or a product developer as well. So from the construct side, we used to take the opinions and ideas and suggestions of the compliance folks so that we structure a product or a business solution in such a way that it's compliant with the requirements and we don't get into any regulatory issues. So again, coming back to what you were saying, fintech, again, nothing fancy. I always believe in peeling the onion. The solutions are pretty simple. Today, if you ask a banker, or perhaps 23 back when I started banking and I was doing some AML transaction dispositioning, what used to be the process for that? I used to look at the transaction, which has been highlighted as an exceptional transaction. I would compare that with the customer's KYC, that the customer has said, I will do XYZ transactions. Yes, this transaction was highlighted, the bank approved that, there is no exception, we will go ahead with that. If in case, as you suggested, 4 remittances to Morocco, this and that and all, and that was not identified at the time of onboarding, I will come back to you and I will ask you for that. Same goes for a fintech solution. Fintech solution would also go for checking on the system that what has been your previous transactional behavior. Have you been doing such transactions? Maybe we can identify from there that yes, you've got a son who's studying in Morocco and you're providing some funds for him studying in Morocco. Maybe so, if that kind of a plausible rationale is there on the basis of your transactional history, that transaction can be disposed of automatically by the system without bothering the client. Yes. Or we can see your transaction profile. If you have identified that I'm going to be doing 3 transactions to Morocco, which would be in line with my business or which would be in line with my family support in Morocco, again, we can dispose you of. Finally, Ather Bhai is nodding.
I think that Ather has some.
Yeah. I have something here which I'll show you in a minute. 2 things. One, when you mentioned that if a hefty fine is imposed on a fintech, of course they're nowhere. But normally, what we have seen, in fact globally, that fintechs are always backed by a bank. So there is a bin which has been. So my question to you is, so, in fact, my question to Meharyab, Meharyab is also part of the fintech stream. So if I'm a fintech and my bin is sponsored by an XYZ bank, something happens with my transaction where people like Hassan or people like Rashid raise a flag. Is it my responsibility as a fintech, or it's the bank's responsibility who's backing me or backing my program?
So definitely it's yours as a fintech. You have to take responsibility of that. In BIN sponsorship model, it's a very interesting topic. Maybe we do a whole section about it someday. In a BIN sponsorship model, since it's a financial institute, people trust in the bank's name. They want to know where their fund will be. So if I am not regulated, or I do not have the, the the capital paid into central bank, and they're not controlling me, maybe I will shut the shop overnight with 20 billion of people in the country, and I will run away. So the whole BIN sponsor model is that there is a trusted bank with the regulated, controlled by local central bank authority, and they have to put their funds there. That's their responsibility. They can guide you on the compliance side. They can tell you which parameters to take. They can audit you for that. But eventually, if something happens to the program under those BIN sponsor of yours, of card or application or wallet, anything, you have to take responsibility of that. And they cover it up with a part of insurances and all that. I think, I think this is directing towards our fourth point, which was the role of the future of RegTech, which can be on on the blockchain or AI. So artificial intelligence can see and structure it up with your monitoring. How long is your passport validity, and how to take the trend, and eventually how to automatically ask you to update it and all that. So how do you see it in on this side? I mean, just to like blockchain can be used for the KYC, so storing KYC as well, right? It can be a centralized platform from where I think in open banking it will come eventually, that everybody can access my database.
Meharyab, if you allow me, because I had something in my mind, I was trying to connect your previous discussion with the technology one. So, Hassan Saab, Ather Saab, they both mentioned about transaction monitoring, and you also mentioned the challenge of transaction monitoring as well. So, see, banking infrastructure or banking program and fintech is quite different. The reason is mainly banking. You have onboarded customer, you have their profile. Hassan Saab already mentioned it. Whereas fintech, generally, they create profile, but these are occasional customers, and that's how it is defined in the regulation. So regulation specifically mention fintech customers who have profile as occasional customers, not the customers who have established a relationship with the institution. So both have different challenges. But when we talk about fintech, because you mentioned about technology, the problem with the mindset, especially when we talk about monitoring, is this whole exercise is very much subjective. So very much subjective is, for me, sending 4 transactions to Morocco is risky. For Hassan Saab, sending 8 transactions to Morocco is fine, because it is their risk assessment. Their assessment says, and we cannot challenge it. If you go to a bank, let's say of fintech, and you say, how come you stop my 8 transactions, 7 transactions? What they are going to tell, this is our risk assessment. So this is very challenging because it's so much subjective. It's very subjective. Everyone believes they whatever they So I remember when, as a compliance officer for one of the global payment company, you used to establish controls. Those controls were very subjective. Like I sitting in UAE, I said, okay, I'm going to stop 5th transaction after 4th because I believe this is customer should not do it. Okay, what is the basis of this? I don't have very solid basis for that. So this is one of the challenge. Now, when it comes to technology, I believe AI is really uh, can do so much in this space. Let's say marketing, monitoring, because although AI is of course based on the data as an institution, customer, or we provide, definitely depends on data. It also depends on our intelligence, because of course artificial intelligence is not that intelligent, so it also rely on our intelligence. But at certain point of time, it really value add, it really give you support. Let me give you one example. So we had a situation in Japan. So the situation was uh, suspicious transaction reporting, filing. So the regulatory requirement was you need to file STRs, and you need to the respective compliance officer need to take a decision on that. Now, in one day they used to receive almost 500 alerts. So one compliance officer cannot dispose all the alerts. So because it was so subjective, the rules was incorrect at the back end that was generating the alerts, and then review. And here, by the way, natural language processing also play a very crucial role. So what solution we use then? We use artificial intelligence. We build algorithms. We build the respective rules using artificial intelligence, and the work that used to perform or completed in, let's say, a week time, 5 minutes. So 5 minutes, it filter everything. It also take decision based on recommendation, and that's it. So I believe artificial intelligence and other solutions are really important when it comes to the intelligent decisions.
Okay. Excellent. I think I don't know, it's a very long discussion, and we should meet. Okay, RegTech is very important in fintech space and for banks. Eventually, they both are working with each other. I mean, they complement each other. Today, the way, because we all are part of the same industry. Today, I see it's still a hybrid model. Let's close the discussion. So we have like 1.5 minutes to close it. I still see that, yes, you do the onboarding and all that, but still there is a hybrid model. You did the digital onboarding, there is somebody sitting on the back and he is checking, validating. So there is a manual, human interaction is still involved. Or some countries you do the onboarding and all that, but still when you're delivering or you're activating the account or delivering the card, they want you to see the in person. Where do you think that, by when you think that it will be totally automated? It will be a time when we don't need to, we won't go halfway. We can complete it like in coming years or coming months, or how do you see it with you as a start with?
Time is now, but it all depends on the kind of regulatory framework that we get around that. So, this is something which is happening all around the world. Digital onboarding is not where it stops. This is actually the starting point. The entire journey is a digital journey for clients in multiple geographies. In the geography that we are operating, we have a digital signature law which is there. But again, how much of an application is permissible by the regulators, I think that would determine. As we were discussing about the telecom industry getting the biometrics done. So I think the inclusion, the financial sector inclusion has to come up from the regulator side. And that is, otherwise, from a system perspective, as I mentioned, that it's not stopping at onboarding the client. All of those things which are done at the back end system can take care of in real time, and it's straight through processing. So from a systems perspective, I think Ather and the industry gurus are all set, are all ready with the solution. It's about getting that solutions buy-in with the regulator, which can make it.
So Ather, also have a challenge. We also have a challenge. It's not for us. It's not always STP when it comes to connecting with the regulator. So, for example, here IDA is very open. They have their SDKs published online. You can download it. You can integrate it into the app, and you can create an element out of it. They have sandbox environments where they invite people to use their SDKs and create stuff. There are a lot of other root of trust, and uh, I I think that they are very sensitive about their security, their encryption, their product, and at the same time they want to make money out of it. So we, as the identity management and identity solution provider, we also have roadblocks. So my take for the future would be that I would love these root of trusts of the world to be more open, more agile, and more friendly towards technology.
Look at 2020. We had the mask and we couldn't use the whole thing for a whole year. So yeah, it's. Rashid, do you have any ending note of that?
Your new selfie should be with a mask, so that the facial.
I don't know.
And with the mask.
I think retina scan will still work till something we have to stop. Anyway,
I'll tell you
Rashid, we have 10 seconds if you can please.
Only scans this part above the nose and this area.
Okay. So I second Ather and Hassan definitely. So one thing I really feel in the industry is expertise from not only regulatory but even compliance head as well. So people do not understand. Even in big companies, they don't understand what exactly required is. What regulator is silent, or maybe let's say gray, but companies, they really do not understand how to present solutions to the regulator. So this is very important, and I believe building technical capabilities. I believe one important area is to build compliance capabilities within the companies. This is very important. Hopefully, we'll solve the issue. That will be.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Rashid, I agree, because it's not only the financial system. When we talk about consumer protection as well, maybe there are some central banks, state banks are ready to accept the facial recognition or digital signatures, but judiciary is not ready. So if you have a dispute and it goes to court, the judge will say that, okay, I need the signature where you took his consent. So I think, we are reaching there. We can see the blockers, but I think it's moving in a good pace. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Let's close it for this chapter, and we'll align with our next chapter to discuss and all that to come on the phone.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.